Robert and Jonathan Kraft knew that this offseason was now or never for the New England Patriots. And not necessarily in terms of landing that big free agent, but in terms of head coach Mike Vrabel being the belle of the ball in the head coaching search for struggling franchises like your now struggling New England Patriots. Welcome in, everybody. My name's Will. This is the Pats Pod. We're going to do a little breakdown about why the Jerod Mayo firing came so suddenly and seemingly so quickly after the game. I mean, my God, they didn't even let him hardly address the team in the locker room before we had breaking news about the Jerod Mayo firing. I do believe this was something that the Krafts had in mind for a while, especially when the Mike Vrabel and Patriots rumors started to heat up regarding his interest. And of course, his visit with the Jets last week, I think was a bit of a shot below the belt to the Krafts, saying, if you guys want me, you better come get me now because you're not going to have a chance. I'm the belle of the ball here this offseason, and it's now or never for you guys. So do away with Jerod if you need to, or else I'm going just down to New York, and you're going to see me twice a year, and it's going to be ugly. So I think that really accelerated this whole thing. And hey, shout out to Mike Vrabel and his people for accomplishing something there, because that's clearly the move they were trying to make. And boy, did it work. So Jerod Mayo is out. I believe the Krafts did know that it was now or never for a Ben Johnson or a Mike Vrabel. Or, get this, how about just a standard head coaching search? Because after the Bill Belichick departure, they didn't even orchestrate one. They had a succession plan in place, and boy, oh boy, did it seem to be counterintuitive the way that they did not search for a new head coach. They did not search as deeply as they should have for a defensive coordinator. And they landed, I think, their fifth or seventh choice for their offensive coordinator in Alex Van Pelt, who's also out the door. And it would be interesting to see if he's replaced with an offensive mind in Ben Johnson. Not that he would be the OC, but if you were to go against the Vrabel route and get someone like Ben Johnson, that could sort of double dip as your head coach and your offensive coordinator. So that would be an interesting route. But when it comes down to it, Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson are really the bells of the ball here, right? However, they don't have all the leverage because, frankly, the Patriots themselves are a hot date. And I think that head coaching job for New England and some of the player personnel input that you'll get as a head coach is a really sought-after job at this point. If you look at the other franchises that are looking, New England is the only one with sort of foundational winning culture in their owners. They're the only ones with a current franchise quarterback in Drake May. And honestly, there's not much else. But there is crazy amounts of assets in terms of the cap room you have going into free agency. There is a 4th overall pick, which you can spend hopefully to protect Drake May, but we'll see what people decide to do. If it is trading down and gathering more assets, if it is sticking and picking and potentially landing Travis Hunter still with some quarterback-hungry teams above you there, but I don't personally see a world where Travis Hunter falls to 4. But let's talk a little bit more about Vrabel. That's what this video is about. He really could end up being the new era here in New England. And why? Well, Jerod Mayo wasn't able to be that. Mainly because he was trying to fill, obviously, massive shoes. But Bill's shoes weren't only massive, they were sandals, they were hard-toed hiking boots, they were crampons, and they were flippers all at the same time. What I'm trying to say, metaphorically, is that Bill covered ground that usually a crew would have to cover, a team, a staff. But he was a one-man show. Now, Jerod Mayo, a rookie head coach, was never going to be that. Bill, obviously, is a unicorn. But Jerod Mayo didn't even have the building full, right? You didn't fully staff, whether it was assistants or backstops for the offensive coordinator. He didn't fully fill the staff the way that many other franchises in the NFL do. It's a pretty empty building if you really break it down. Now, what's making Mike Vrabel so attractive is, the reports recently coming out about his assistants and team that would come with him. We don't have details yet on who those people are and if there's an offensive coordinator included in that, as he's more of a defensive guy. But that could be a huge deal maker for the Patriots if Vrabel's able to come in with a large staff, with a lot of experience hitting on some draft picks, developing players, running good offenses, running good defenses. These could be the details that make this happen and would have you, even within months, seeing the new era in New England under Mike Vrabel. Now, the same could be said about Ben Johnson, but he obviously doesn't have the head coaching experience. And it's important to remember, Vrabel was the one who dismantled Brady in Foxborough in 2019. And you remember some of those coaching antics between Bill and Vrabel, something you really haven't seen since. There was was it a delay of game he accepted? Very Bill Belichickian things that he was using against him in a playoff game and ended up winning it against Bill. And that really was the end of the Patriots dynasty. So to maybe get that guy off that sideline and bring him to yours, especially a building he wants to be in, that's a big note here. Vrabel has expressed his interest in wanting to be the Patriots head coach. And I believe fully that once that broke and the conversations he's probably had with Robert and Jonathan Kraft about his interest, I guarantee you that played into Gerard's swift firing. And boy, was it swift. And not the Taylor variety. It was pretty brutal to see a guy sort of obey orders of the fans and the owners to not play Drake and kind of tank this last game and still come out with a win. And I thought it was actually a pretty well-coached game, as scrimmage-esque as it was. It was a bit of a high note for Gerard, but too little, too late. We knew that he wasn't going to set a culture in the last game of a meaningless last game of a meaningless now season. And he was one and done. And I was honestly personally not expecting this. I've talked about this in my other videos that I was leaning towards Robert and Jonathan keeping their word and not wanting to be wrong. I think this is really something that shows great ownership, this move. Of course, how are they good owners, Will? Their succession plan just one and done. Right, but it's the admitting that they're wrong, because previous years you might see the Crafts be stubborn and bring him back because, no, we want him to work out. We need him to work out. We're just going to, do some marginal changes and get some more people in the building to surround him and develop him as a rookie head coach. But not this time. It was a full measure, one that needed to be taken. And frankly, I do think Vrabel's availability this offseason was the perfect storm for an unfortunate one and dunning of Gerard Mayo. It is sad to see him go. I wish him the best. I think he'll get another swing. Probably not as head coach right away, but somewhere, some team will definitely use him. It is tough, though. It was a very tough season for him, especially at the podium. Didn't do himself many favors at all. And I have written down here a question for you guys. Right now, if you were the New England Patriots, would you rather Vrabel or Ben Johnson? Leave me a comment below and we'll chat. It's a really tough choice for me because Drake May seems like he could have his ceiling inflated even further with a Ben Johnson. You turn on the Lions and it's like must-see TV, their offensive plays, even on a meaningless drive in the fourth quarter in a somewhat meaningless game. They're doing hook and laterals, and like Jamison Williams is running 80 yards free down the field every other week. I don't understand it. But he does, and he gets it done. And I think he could elevate Drake's game to a monumental status in the NFL. That being said, I think right now I personally lean Vrabel, mainly because of that playoff experience, the head coaching experience, the winning experience, and the most important thing, the built-in culture. Something Gerard Mayo failed miserably at developing here. Sure, it's hard to develop culture when you're losing, and you want to develop a winning culture. But when you have guys in the locker room, rookies, who, boy, oh boy, if this was a Belichick team, Jalen Polk would be put in his place. But you have rookies like Jalen Polk, wearing headphones, alone in the locker room, pouting, skating about like a little diva. And it was tolerated. Sure, he was placed on the injury report this week. And we got to see some Javon Baker finally made his first catch. Shout out Javon Baker. If he makes the team next year, we'll see. But anyways, we'll make more videos about those guys later. I do think I lean Vrabel, though, mainly because the culture and the team that he can bring in. Again, there's already been some leaking going on about this team that he can bring in, and I'm sure that's been a selling point for him to Patriots owners. And I'm sure that sealed some sort of deal in Robert's mind to say, you know what, we're at rock bottom right now. Let's hit the reset button because I'm not going to be here again, right? It's the same idea you had when you're picking Drake May. It's like, why not pick Marvin Harrison Jr.? No. You're only there at number 3. You thought, at least. This season, you're almost number 1. But you thought you were only going to be there once at rock bottom. Take the quarterback. Now you're only going to be here once, right? Take the head coach, right? You might as well hit the reset button and take the best guy. And the best guy, frankly, that we've seen in a while be readily available and wanting to be in New England. So that's going to be that for this video. I do think Mike Vrabel would be a perfect fit here in New England. He has the ties, obviously. He's got the New England winning culture in his blood still. I think the fan base would really take him in. And with that culture, he's going to bring in a team of people who can work with Elliott Wolf, who can work with whoever the new offensive coordinator is. Maybe it's Josh McDaniels. Personally, I'd like to see us go younger and more innovative and less totally attached to the way things used to be, honestly. I'm kind of sick at this point of hiring former Patriots, but we'll see how that goes. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, comment down below. Ben Johnson or Vrabel, where do you lean? And if you lean somewhere else, shout it out, and we can do a little exploration into any head coaching decisions you guys want to make and which ones you think should be made. So again, thank you guys. Leave those comments, like, subscribe, do your thing. This has been a crazy offseason already, and it's about 3 hours old. So buckle up, everyone. It's going to be a wild, wild ride all the way into free agency. I mean, it's like coaching free agency now, and then it's going to be free agency, then it's going to be the draft. And oh boy, the draft isn't even an obvious choice anymore because you're not at number 1. You don't run the thing. So there's going to be a lot to analyze there. All right, thank you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.